Hey, good evening and welcome, everybody. We've got Ukraine update here on the Shills. We're going to get operator Starsky to take us through some headlines, get us caught up. But first, I want to give YouTube a little shout out. Thank you for already marking this stream as yellow and demonetizing it as if we've already, crossed the line of good taste and gone where nobody should go. Give me a break, guys. Come on. This joke has got to end. But enough of that crap. Let's go right over to Operator Starsky, and he's going to get us caught up, and we're going to get this started. Starsky, how you doing, man?
Hi, buddy. Hi, everyone. Operator Starsky here, and I brought you some news. We will start with the shooting in Kherson. Kharkiv. Today, Kharkiv was shelled by Russians. They hit the downtown using multiple rocket launchers, probably Uragan, and as a result, 14 men, including 14 people, including 3 kids, 3, 11, and 15 years old, were wounded. So fortunately, we don't have information about killed, but there's 14 people that were wounded and hospitalized. Luckily, their life is out of danger already, and also for grown-up people were received only light wounds, and they didn't need medical care. As for Kharkiv region in general, today our president reported that the armed forces of Ukraine have liberated and took control of over 30 villages and towns in Kharkiv region, which is great in my opinion, and we continue advancing in that direction. And the chief of CIA today stated that this counteroffensive is efficient, and the whole history of this invasion is basically a failure for Putin and for Russia in general, because Russia is going to pay a very, very big price in long-term perspective. Russian economic and generations of Russians received a very, very big damage. Also today, the European Union decided not to give Russians visas. I'm talking about the long-term visas. And also there was like a warning for European countries to analyze every specific case very, very closely. So in case there's a minimal risk of, in terms of state security and safety, those visas should be cancelled in no time. And one of the funniest news of today is that President Volodymyr Zelensky has cancelled. Let me start from beginning. So in 2010, okay, that previous dictator that we had in Ukraine, Yanukovych, in 2010, Yanukovych awarded Putin with a handgun. So, and today our current president canceled that. I'm sure Putin is crying like a baby at this point. So yeah, so those are major news of today, let's say.
Right. There was also an announcement here. I can, if I remember how to do this, I can even bring it up here. Yeah, here we go. Zelensky announces a breakthrough in Ukraine's east and south. And you know, he's talking about like 1,000 square kilometers of territory been reclaimed. So, you know, that's very positive sign.
Yes, according to his yesterday's report, our armored forces have liberated 1,000 square kilometers since the 1st of September, which is basically a proof of a good rhythm or a good tempo of their counter attack in south and east. And basically, Russians have one big problem. They lack personnel very, very much. So we remember that in the beginning of this invasion, they brought as much as 150,000 troops to Ukraine, and plus something about 35, maybe 40,000 mobilized. I think this number increased since February, probably to something like 50, 60,000 men. So according to information from Ministry of Defense, they've lost already 50,000 men dead, which means that they have also lost probably like 100,000 men, probably more, wounded. This means that basically that intervention group that they had on the beginning doesn't exist. And what they have so far is everything they can mobilize, literally everything. Mobilized people in Russia, in the east of Ukraine, on the occupied territories, a bunch of mercenaries, but not too many, I would say. Something like probably a couple of thousand men, and their private military company Wagner, of course. So yeah, that's their biggest problem, and they cannot make any efficient defense, I would say, against Ukrainian troops, because they're moving very, very rapidly. Finally, we have received plenty of shells that we can use with our artillery, and and our counteroffensive is continuing.
Cool. There was another report here I wanted to bring up. Let me just get it on the screen quick. It's from Reuters. Ukraine has struck more than 400 Russian targets with HIMARS.
Sounds great. I
Good
hope
number.
that we have enough shells for HIMARS. I mean, like guided missiles. Because it will be a shame if they finish very fast. Because there's still plenty of targets. As for Balaklia, by the way, yesterday we have liberated the city of Balaklia. It's a very special city because before the invasion, one of the biggest Ukrainian ammunition storages was located in Balaklia. I think like a couple of years ago, there was like huge explosion in this storage, and people reported that they saw drones, like unknown drones, flying in that area, and probably that was the reason why it happened. But the ammunition storage was huge, and there's a lot of military infrastructure specifically built in this city. So capturing Balaklia is plus it's a city. It's like one of the first cities that we have liberated. And yeah, I think it's a good start.
Cool. Maybe we should get M2M in here, and we'll get a couple of shout outs and move it around and see what the panel has to say and whatnot. There we go.
Thank you very much. I'm pretending to be Aimee tonight, but if I sound anything like her, then I'm sorry. No, Amy's fantastic. No, so anyway, so first super chat we've got from Mackenzie for $10. Thank you very much. And he says, earlier I saw a video of a Ukrainian tree heroically giving its life to take out a panicking Russian tank. Izium is Ukraine, Slava Ukraini. We've got from Tiny Captain, member for 6 months. Shill Apprentice says, can my free chat also be donated to Ukraine? I think that's probably
yes.
Yes, I think is the answer. There we go, straight away. And also super chat from level 70 for $13.99 Canadian. As hi, Starsky, has it been confirmed yet that the butcher of Mariupol, Lieutenant General Andrei Sekyov, is that right? I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Yeah, could be. There you go, that name. Is now a POW. If so, will Ukraine put him on a trial or will he be sent to The Hague?
I think that this information has not been confirmed so far, because otherwise it would be like a big sensation here. So I've been told that the man that you saw on a video was probably not a general, but like a colonel or something. Which is, again, I think, a good catch, because he will be exchanged for a bunch of our prisoners.
Cool.
And that's all I've got at the moment. Thank you very much.
All righty. Let's check with the panel. Anybody want to get in and, we'll get a couple of issues and whatnot and so on addressed. There was a report I wanted to bring up here. Ukrainian nuclear plant operating in an emergency mode, the state operator is saying right now. And this was today, about 4 hours ago.
Yeah, so we also received information from Energoatom. This is a Ukrainian state company managing like nuclear power and electricity in Ukraine in general. So according to their report, 2 employees of this Zaporizhian nuclear power plant were killed by Russians. And this case is already being investigated, as far as I know. But yeah, again, we see that Russians use this power plant basically like terrorists. I mean, at this point, there's zero difference between Russia and ISIS, in my opinion.
I mean, what do they mean by operating in emergency mode, like in a skeleton staff, or are they reduced power, or any idea what that might actually mean by emergency mode?
Unfortunately, I'm not a specialist,
No.
but I think that yes, they reduced their energy flow, and probably something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
I was just wondering what mode is it working in when all the klaxons are going off and all the red lights are flashing? Is that like fucking emergency zone? Ah!
Yeah.
Run for the hills!
Yeah, run for your life mode. Oh, let's hope not. That's a scary thought. Oh man. Nobody wants that. Here, we got a couple of shout outs in, so why don't we turn it back over to Matt and get ourselves caught up.
Yep, well, indeed. Yeah, we've got one from David Oliver, for £5 sterling. Says, I'm honoured. P Brainy has made a meme of me. I'm impressed with Kherson and Kharkiv counteroffensives. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate that. Another one from level 70 for $6.99 Canadian. Why is there a mandated news blackout on the Kherson offensive, but there is plenty of news on the Kharkiv counterattack? And what's the difference? Good question.
Generally, it's due to the OPSEC. So there's a specific time margin that during which we should remain silent. And so for example, before we were able to finally say that we have liberated a bunch of cities and towns in Ukraine, there was like a massive invasion of Russian bots who were like saying like, so how is your invasion going, counteroffensive going? And after like first news from the front lines, they stopped for some reason. Yesterday I was waiting for them, because yesterday we started receiving a lot of news. Balaklia was liberated and stuff, and Russians have disappeared somewhere. So I thought that probably they have no, they didn't receive any like informational strategy so far, so they don't know what to say. And I was right, because this morning they started bombing my commentaries on YouTube channel and other social media. And it was kind of funny. So they keep repeating their old narratives. One of them, for example, is that I'm a taxpayer. I am American taxpayer, I swear. Give me back my money. And another one is another one basically appeared this morning, and it was massive. So it's like they comment shit like, have you seen, there are so many dead Ukrainian men. There are 1,000 Ukrainian men, I swear. Check this link. There's like tens of thousands Ukrainian men. You use brute force against strategy. There's blood everywhere, dead people everywhere. There's quite a lot of those. The funniest thing I have encountered is that so I found some like a forum where Russians discussed like different channels, and basically it was like place where trolls gather. And some of those trolls, so they were discussing my channel as well, and some of those trolls posted a screenshot. And they celebrated. They were like, Starsky finally got mad, so they started arguing with the scammer. So there was a scammer using my photo, like a different name, but my user picture. And they started arguing with the scammer. It was kind of funny. The funniest commentary, though, that I saw today, was it yesterday, was I commented at one veteran's video on YouTube. So it's like another channel that makes like reviews and daily updates from Ukrainian front lines. And basically we had like a short discussion, and someone said, if you are so smart, why don't you and your dog make a YouTube channel? And I was like, oh my God, like a real YouTube channel with like subscribers and videos, I gotta consider that. So yeah.
Yeah, how many subscribers you got on your channel now, Starsky?
Probably like 2.
No, definitely got a few more than that.
Probably, yeah. Probably like my commander subscribers subscribed as well, and my mom. And my dog, of course.
I think you've got quite a few thousand anyway. Just for the uninitiated, before we go forward, you might have heard Operator Starsky mention OPSEC. That basically means Operation Security, which means that there's only certain things that can't be revealed really to protect the security of what's happening in terms of what the Ukrainian forces are actually doing. That's basically what OPSEC actually means. Just for the uninitiated, just so you know.
Mark,
So while
question, if
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. There's just a bit of dead air. That's absolutely fine. I had a question for you, Starsky, that is rather timely. The death of Queen Elizabeth II marks an iconic moment in the 21st century. What inspiration can Ukrainians take from her endurance, service, and legacy?
We all know that she served in the army during the World War II. And basically her pictures and what she did, it's very inspiring for Ukrainians, of course, because we know that she didn't have to go and serve, and even despite the fact that she didn't visit like front lines and stuff, but she her work was useful, and I think that her grandchildren actually served on the front lines. So one of the princes was a pilot, right?
Yeah, there's that famous video of Prince Harry who's sitting there in an interview, and then they get the call and he runs off.
Yeah,
in the middle of,
I remember that. And another one was infantry, I guess. So basically, yeah, what they did was really inspiring, and of course, it's a big loss for us. I think she was one of the probably greatest persons in 20th and 21st century. So yeah.
I was just out of my seat for a second, and I'm trying to get caught up on the chat here because I saw myself getting tagged a couple of times. I screwed it up completely too. We have a little green room where we chat in the back and, say blah, blah, or whatever. And I posted, hey, I'll be right back, just a second. And I forgot to double tap enter for that damn Discord pop up. Are you sure you want to add everyone? Yes, I'm damn sure. I'm an admin. Get out of my way. But well, so I screwed the pooch on that one. What are you going to do? Is there entertainment industry is kind of my background, being a musician and everything, Starsky. Is it getting really hard for people in that sort of area to even try to eke out a living now? I mean, with everything going on, it must be a nightmare for anybody in that kind of industry.
I wouldn't say so, because first of all, musicians are being supported very much by common people through like donations and stuff, because a lot of our musicians visit front lines. They perform for our soldiers, and people support them with like finances and other things. So it's not that bad. Also in I cannot say that they are safe cities, but like in safer cities, we have like almost a normal life, except for like missile hazard and curfews and things like that. So they continue doing what they do, and I think it's great, because once again, I think the biggest thing that the Russians probably like dream about is to see Ukrainians horrified and panicking and stuff. It won't happen. I mean, it won't happen this way.
And of course, you got the world heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk is still retained his title, so he's still going strong as well. So your sports is definitely doing well, particularly in boxing, and which is good.
Yeah, and Usyk is also very, very inspiring for us. like again, I probably told you already, but there was like Usyk has some bad background in the eyes of part of our population because he supported Russians before the invasion, basically before Russian invaders pooped into his baby's bed, and I mean this tragedy, this invasion, actually united Ukrainians. So now, like even those who didn't support Usyk, literally for his political views, it's not like it's not an issue anymore, and Ukrainians are becoming like more and more united every day. I think it's awesome.
Cool.
Should we let's see if Matt's ready so we can get a couple of the supers in and then see what the panel's thinking.
Yep, great if we could. Yep, we got another one from Level 70. Thank you very much for $6.99 US Canadian again. He says, "Hi Starsky, have you heard of NAFO? Is Futch a member?" Very good. Can you answer that before we move on?
Yeah. So I made a research. and it appeared that actually I have a lot of NAFO fellas among my friends on Twitter. And a lot of them follow my channel as well. So yeah, I learned about those guys, and they're doing a great job. That's all I can say.
Excellent. Okay. And from Sam Williams, member for 2 months. That's at $16.99 New Zealand dollars. Sending infinite love, Ukraine's way as always. Love and flowers. There you go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Awesome. So let's look to the panel here. Who wants to get in with what and so on? Nick, did you want to get in with anything?
Yeah, sure. So I guess my my first question is, has the okay. Everybody knows that the center line of the Russian invading force has essentially fallen back completely. There's mixed reports as to whether or not this is specifically the Ukrainian forces breaking through the line and utterly destroying it, which would be a extraordinary victory, or a falling back and a repositioning of the Russian forces, which would still be a victory. It's still the line has essentially been pushed back, but it's not quite as overwhelming. And for people who are in the camp that okay, the Ukrainians have utterly just destroyed that front line, they're thinking, hey, this is the first indication sort of as to the end of the war. And for those who are saying, no, it's really just repositioned. They were low on ammo. They were morale is terrible. They've been suffering desertions. It wasn't so much that the lines just got completely obliterated. It was a organized falling back and repositioning, which is still a victory, but not quite as, hey, war's over in next week kind of thing that some people have been talking about. So what is it that you're seeing in terms of how and why that break formed?
So what I see currently is that the phase of more or less positional warfare changed, and on specific spans of the front line, and again on specific spans of the front lines, our troops switched from positional warfare to maneuvering warfare, and they perform those operations in strategic areas. For example, like most obviously, right? They are moving towards Izium, and most obviously they are moving towards Kherson, because Russians in Kherson are basically cut off from supplies from the left bank of Ukraine. So yeah, I totally support the idea that it's not the victory yet. There's still we should put a lot of effort into making it happen finally. We should also remember that people are dying on both sides. 2 of my close friends died yesterday. They did not participate in the attack, I mean in the counteroffensive, but they were on the front lines in different area, and they got bombed. And yeah, unfortunately they died.
Yeah, man. Sorry to hear.
One of them was an NCO. He was my first, I was his subordinate in 2016 when our first company was formed, and yeah, we were good friends. So people are dying, but the difference is that Ukrainian people have a reason to die for, you know, and we know that if we stop this war, Ukraine will disappear. So we should continue until we are victorious.
Are they preparing? I mean, I think Russia's going to have a very hard time prosecuting this in the winter. That we can tell they're still going to be using the summer uniforms out there, which this is going to be a Ukrainian winter. So this is going to be a thing. How are the Ukrainians preparing for the fact that this was almost certainly going to continue into winter?
Ukrainian army has uniforms. Those guys who fight since winter, they already have uniforms. People that were mobilized or volunteered, they will receive it, of course. As for Russian troops, the fact is that, again, bringing like uniform to their troops requires logistics and stuff, and probably they will have some problems related to this.
Probably.
Because,
well, they have to have somebody who gives a fuck. So there's another thing, right? You know.
Yeah, of course.
I bet they don't.
Well,
yeah,
I did hear Lucasfilm are donating 2,000 Tauntauns.
Brilliant.
There was a question. It's from Tiny Captain. So here, let me just get into character. Watch this. Fuck. I have a question. I work with both sides on board, Russian and Ukrainian. Luckily, the last few Russians were pro-Ukraine, but sadly enough, some Ukrainian were pro-Russian. What is Starsky's thought about that kind of situation?
Well, before he answers, that's a good look for you. I think you should keep it.
yeah,
he's got the hair for it and everything, isn't he? He's brilliant.
I didn't notice any different, to be honest.
So what Russians are trying to show to the whole world is that first of all, there's like half of Ukrainian population is Russian ethnically, which in fact, according to statistics, is something less than 20%, something like around 17%. Not all of them support Putin, of course, because they live all around Ukraine. And they also want to show that Ukrainians literally killed all Russian-speaking people, even despite the fact that like 1/3 of Ukrainian people speak Russian language. You know, and the fact is that majority of Ukrainian people, including Russian-speaking population of Ukraine, they don't support Russian language as a second state language because this question of language was basically used by Putin as a foundation to bring tanks into Ukraine. That's why we all understand that things like, cultural expansion, things like this, manipulating such things as like, Russian language and stuff, they are very, very dangerous for Ukrainian independency. And basically, it's the same thing that Hitler was saying before the war. He was saying that they're only trying to protect German-speaking people in Poland and other places all around the world. There were like ethnic Germans in Ukraine as well in the beginning of World War II. So nothing new has been created. They use the same old strategy. So yeah, and still we have a bunch of people who support Russia on the east, mainly because Eastern Ukraine was historically a place where in the beginning of 20th century, when there was still Russian Empire with Tsar, there were mines, like coal mines and stuff, and a lot of people were they did not arrive there voluntarily. Not only they arrived there voluntarily from other places, other areas of Russian Empire, but also because it's a mine, a lot of criminals and people who were sentenced, a lot of convicts, were also sent to work on those mines from different locations in Russian Empire. Also, during the Holodomor, it was an artificial famine that was created by Bolsheviks in 1932 and 1933, when almost 10 million Ukrainians died. They brought like Russian settlers, mainly again to the southern Ukraine, to the eastern Ukraine, and those people simply moved into the houses of Ukrainians who were killed by this famine. That's why we have quite a diaspora on the east, and for example, Russian diaspora in Crimea. What's the origin of this diaspora? So Crimea belonged historically to Crimean Tatars. The biggest diaspora that lives in Crimea, they're Crimean Tatars. And in 1940s, during the war, when Crimea was first occupied by Germany, then it was deoccupied by Soviet army, Stalin decided to punish Crimean Tatars, and almost 2 million of Crimean Tatars were removed from Crimea and relocated to distant areas of Soviet Union. The question is, who moved into the houses where those Crimean Tatars lived? So they brought their settlers, рабочие, those workers and stuff, and they moved into their houses. And after some time, after decades, they were the ones who were saying that Crimea was always Russian. So this is how it works. And like, if you like Russia so much, I can help you with tickets, I swear. But they think different. They think that they should bring Russia to the land where they live, even despite the fact that this land belongs to a completely different country.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the story.
Right. If you love Russia so much, then go and live in Russia, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't be spreading that shit around. There seems to me more than enough as there is right now. Let's just dial it back a notch. I'm wondering if we shouldn't check. Let's see. We've got a super chat to do, and then we should check and see if Dave's got a few viewer questions we should get to as well.
Yep, sure can. Yeah, we've got another super chat from Sam Williams for 16.99 New Zealand. Thanks again, Sam. Ukraine will win. There is no doubt, and we will do everything we can to make sure of it. Great, thanks very much for the super chat and also the encouragement. And I'm sure Starsky, you agree. You know, any kind of encouragement, I know he does pass it on as much as he can to his fellow soldiers. So it's always appreciated. Thank you.
Absolutely, very cool. Thanks, Sam. So yeah, let's see if
I have to say something about Sam. So the other day, I received a letter, and I don't receive a lot of letters, but I was like, what could that be? So Sam has sent me a postcard.
Wow.
And it's a kick-ass postcard because it's a Ukrainian soldier who shows a finger to a Russian ship. And
yes.
some nice words. So yeah, Sam, I love you. It's very touching. Thank you so much.
How
Sam.
did
Awesome.
he address it? Did it say like Operator Starsky somewhere in Ukraine? Can't say where, but shush, sent it to him anyway.
Something like that. Ukraine is a big village, you know. Everybody knows everybody.
Am I being too bold if I ask you what's written on the card, or is it secret?
I can read it if Sam agrees.
If Sam is okay for Starsky reads it, we would love to hear it. If you only if you're happy.
Yeah. One sec here. Sam Williams literally, just as Starsky went, look at what she did and blah blah, was off feeding the baby. So Starsky, can you kind of recreate that moment for a minute again, just so she can be a part of it? We need to show the postcard again.
Yeah, so I received a letter, and it reached me successfully, and it's a postcard of a Ukrainian soldier flipping off Russian ship, and I think it's beautiful.
Snake
So
Island
thank you
is
so much.
what it looks like. I think that's the.
That's awesome, Sam.
That's
Honestly,
awesome.
That's really good, Sam. Thank you so much. That was brilliant. And the question is, Sam, is it okay if Operator Starsky reads what it says in the card, but only if you're happy for it to be read?
Yeah, she says go for it.
Go for it. Yeah. There you go.
So it says, we will continue to fight as long as it takes. Andrew, I have to thank you for everything that you do for the international world and for me personally, because your support encourages me to continue to do whatever I can to help and keeps me from going insane. So those words are very, very touching. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Nice. Well done, Sam.
A little round of applause for Sam, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Let's have some claps in the chat then. Let's have some claps in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we have a member shout out, and then we can turn to Dave for a couple of viewer questions. Oh, did I go too quick? I think I lost Matt there. Matt, did you run away?
Question instead.
Yeah, let's do that.
Buy him some time.
Yeah, sorry,
absolutely
I kind of got my tabs kind of got a bit mixed up there for a second. I can go ahead unless you want to go ahead and do some questions. I don't mind.
Yeah, let's do that.
Always get the member out the way. They're far more important.
Okay, got no problem then. We've got one from F Bear Ishillian Angel, member for 5 months, Shill Apprentice. I think it's 4 months, but okay, YouTube, lol. I'm not sure what that refers to. What's that about?
The YouTube never knows what's going on when it's counting how long you've been a member and this and that and stuff. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
But thank you very much.
Go ahead now. You
Oh,
read
yeah.
the questions.
Wonderful.
Eavesdrop.
Bombi1138 asks, are the Ukrainian troops getting really good medical care? I was under the... Actually, I'm not sure. Do you have a NHS-style healthcare service in Ukraine? I don't know.
Yeah, because they also receive healthcare not only from Ukraine but other countries, and not only soldiers. So, for example, that little girl I've been posting about on my YouTube months ago. There was a 9-year-old girl who lost her arm due to Russian fire in Bucha, and she received a new arm from American clinic in the New York, and this arm was donated for free. So she's a real superhuman.
I'm not being
Absolutely.
well, shitty here, but I'm assuming it was an artificial arm. They didn't just like send over an arm. There you go.
Yeah, so
Stitch that on.
it was a advanced robotized prosthetic arm, and basically it makes her a superhero. By the way.
That's
Cool.
awesome. Yeah, awesome. She's bionic like me now. I've got a bionic arm. She's got a bionic arm. There you go.
Yeah. Pretty soon, you guys are going to have to take on Steve Austin and Jamie Summers.
Got nothing on me.
Yeah. Is there any more you wanted to go to there, Dave? And then
Sure thing. There's plenty. I can go forever. Just stop me. So,
All right.
Stop.
All right, fine.
Oh, I'm joking. Go ahead.
There's one very interesting predicament from Sweet 70433. Question for operator Starsky: if you had to choose, would you choose truth or freedom?
That's an interesting one.
Good one.
I cannot understand how truth exists without freedom.
Yeah, also true.
A lot of times I see commentaries that say, like, but there's propaganda on the West as well, or like Ukrainians use propaganda. Guys, propaganda only works well in a country where that is ruled by the same dude for 20 years. In other places, it's like, guys, you cannot even compare that to Russian propaganda. So yesterday I saw a video, probably I can find it, a video. It was like a small celebration in Belarusian school. And one of the pupils, it was a schoolgirl from higher grades, she showed a trident like this. She was arrested. She was literally arrested for that. This video is available on YouTube. Let me see if I can find it. So, guys, like, there's a big difference between propaganda and, for example, public relations, right? Those are very, very different things. But again, why people believe all kinds of crazy shit? It's because those people analyze this information from their own perspective, from like their own experience. And people who think like that committing atrocities is possible only think so probably because they are capable of doing that, in my personal opinion.
DK, you wanted it in there.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot I had my hand up there. Yeah, I mean, on this whole propaganda thing, I mean, Starsky pretty much covered it. Yeah, about that. I think some people in the West get confused between showing support in the media and propaganda. That's not really what propaganda actually means. You know, when they're talking about propaganda, they're talking about like on the Russian side where they're using propaganda to brainwash people. That doesn't happen in the West. That side of that, and so it's not really propaganda. It's just reporting support. That's all it is. Surely.
I have to believe.
Sorry, Nick. There are like let's call them trends, right? Something that people talk a lot about because this information is important. And that's why people, when people show support for Ukraine, when they install Ukrainian flags on their streets in different countries, it's, let's call it a trend, but yeah, it is a trend because this is important. This is what people are talking on every day, right? Because this is important in terms of our future, your future, everybody's future. When media start spreading information about genetically modified birds that were raised in Ukraine in military labs, when they start spreading information about 50 unnamed NATO generals that were killed in Mariupol by brave Russian soldiers. Of course, we will never know the names of those brave officers. I hope that NATO will never forget them and things like that. Guys, that is propaganda.
Yes.
And when they start saying that, you know, like Ukrainian police together with far-right Nazi is running around on Kiev streets and kills Russian-speaking people, that's also propaganda. And things like supporting Ukraine is not. It's a trend.
I do think there's propaganda in the West. I think Donald Trump is an ideal example of that. I think it's an order of magnitude less than what you said, more than an order of magnitude less. But I think qualitatively it's the same thing, and I think that should be recognized because I think it's dangerous not to recognize it. And I think Fox News, while not actually a propaganda organization itself, I think it's mislabeled that way. I do think pundits on Fox News, such as Tucker Carlson, are propagandists, and that would be my view. I think that's a pretty easily defensible position.
Let me clarify. When I was talking about propaganda in the West, I was talking about UK. When you go as far as West as America, we're fucked.
Okay, good. Well, that was going to be how I was going to frame it, and then I thought I'd be a little more polite. So you and I actually completely agree. Yeah. Okay, good.
You don't get polite from me, for God's sake. I'm not on that payroll.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the very definition of propaganda, I mean, really all it says is information especially biased or misleading in nature used to promote a political cause or a point of view. So, you know, yeah, I do agree with you. We can't really deny that propaganda doesn't exist in the West, but when we're talking about the truth, but here's what leads on to my point I wanted to make is that you can believe or disbelieve whatever the mainstream media actually says, but we live in a very big information sort of society now. You've got information from all kinds of sources at your fingertips. You know, nowadays, with the beauty of the internet, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. The internet, you can talk to all kinds of people around the world, and you can talk to people from Ukraine. You can talk to people from Russia. You can talk to people that are on the ground and see what's going on and what's happening. So, you know, if you really needed to, you can find the truth. It's your ability.
Choose to.
If you choose to, exactly. That was going to be my next point. If you choose to, you can see the real truth. You can find that, and even Russians can do that. But the thing is that Russians and some people here in the West, they would rather just listen to mainstream media and they'll believe everything they actually say. I'm not saying that they're not reporting the truth necessarily, but sometimes it can be slightly biased in a lot of senses. But from my own experience, from the people that I'm talking to, what the people are saying on the ground, and from you know our friends like our pride of Starsky, it really is very much in keeping of what the mainstream media are reporting presently. That's my own opinion on it.
I don't know what you think about it, Matt, but I don't think I've seen much kind of like media bias in the UK.
Not in Ukraine. No, not in terms of Ukraine. But what I'm saying is that sometimes mainstream media can be politically biased in terms of our own politics and things like that. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't see any bias in terms of reporting Ukraine. It's very much in line with what other people are saying. Is what I'm trying to get at.
There's like two big problems again in Russia. One of the problems is that they isolate themselves from the world in terms of like Facebook or like Instagram. There's plenty of resources that were banned by Russian censorship committee called Roskomnadzor. And the other problem is that they don't really like to learn English or any other language. Currently, this becomes
neither do we.
Currently, this becomes another trend in Russia. So they want to stop their kids from learning English because I think it was like in this doctrine of fascism written by Mussolini that learning other languages is bad for the nation, for the race, because people can learn different things. So it's like one of the trends, and a lot of times I see those Russians who say like, "Oh, you speaking the language of your masters," oh my God. I'm speaking the language of the world, basically, and it gives me possibilities to communicate with people from anywhere. And another funny thing was that it's like, why do you love West so much? I mean, West is bad. Even considering the fact that we are also West technically, and considering the fact that countries like Germany or Japan lost the war to West, look at them now. I don't think that you can call, for example, Japan ruined, or but there's like beautiful developing countries that were liberated by Russia. For example, Abkhazia. Check Abkhazia, you're gonna love the pictures. Or South Ossetia. I'm not sure if they built roads yet or not, but from what I saw, there were like zero. So
there's no Google Street View then.
Yeah, there will never be.
They've got the Google Chariot view.
Yeah, just on the back of a donkey.
Yeah, because Google Street vehicle requires a road to move. Okay, the only let's say republic that is like thriving in Russia, it was thriving. It's Chechnya, because it was ruled by, and it is basically ruled by Kadyrov, and Kadyrov is Putin's biggest ally because Putin gives him so much money. Basically, so in Chechnya, there's a lot of so-called law enforcement, like people working in law enforcement. Law enforcement means like their police, Rosguardia, and shit. So they work all over Russia, specifically in Moscow, and local people have a lot of problems with them. For example, like whenever there's like some kind of wedding some Kadyrovite is getting married. So they have this huge column of cars, literally like going really fast through the city, through Moscow, shooting out of windows. And like everybody who is unhappy with that often gets beaten up by those Kadyrovites. And 0 Kadyrovites were like prosecuted or charged because Russians are afraid of them. And it's a big problem, basically. Like, if you got into a fight with a Kadyrovite in Russia, you're done. You cannot sue him. You will
Wow.
lose. Yeah. So yeah, and basically that's the reason why Chechnya is the only country that is thriving. But thriving, I mean, you know, people who do things.
Thriving is an interesting word in that sense, because there's definitely a duality there. That's for sure. Let's get M2M Matt in here, and we'll get a couple of shout outs caught up and see where we're at.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much. We've got $15.09 Canadian from Raven7. Thank you very much. And it says, the news is so inspiring regarding the liberated territory. I was wondering about opinions on a total ban of visas in Europe for Russians. I don't want pro-Putin tourists in Europe. Slava Ukrainian from the UK. Should we start? Do you want to answer that one first of all before we go on to the next one?
It could be a sneaky invasion.
Russian tourists are like, I'm not sure if you want to see them in your country. No, I mean, yes, of course, not everybody in Russia is so bad. Yes, there are people with open souls and huge internal spiritual world, but you know, it's I think it's wrong having Russian tourists like resting on your beaches while their army is destroying a European country.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about the danger of their spies, their terrorists and stuff. We all remember Salisbury. We remember that a bunch of innocent people got injured and one person died, which wasn't even their target. I mean, those two terrorists, those spies. So, yeah, I think that Europeans should really consider this information.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just quickly on that though, aren't the Russians themselves wary of people leaving the country? Because, you know, if they get a visa to come over as a tourist, but aren't the Russians saying, well, what? You know, why are you going to Europe? And are you coming back? You know, aren't they wary of that kind of what would you call it? Exodus from Russia itself.
For example, there's like a bunch of their IT specialists. They thought about moving to Ukraine. By the way, at some point they were, and IT. I mean, it's a nice thing. It's a nice segment of market, and why not? We need IT specialists. But they were like, I read it in like one of their Telegram channels, because I have to monitor that shit as well. So they were like, in case Russia loses this war, and in case those sanctions get stronger, we should move to Ukraine. But personally, me, I will not give up my Russian passport, because situation can change, you know. Like, I don't know what to say.
Pick one. Come on. You know, when what's his name there, the German rocket scientist that came over and did the Saturn V and everything. What's his name?
Von
For the
Braun.
love of God, thank you, Von Braun. It's not like he was going back home to Germany every so often for vacation. I mean, it really doesn't work that way,
Yeah, I don't think they've got the same controls in terms of this isn't the Cold War. We haven't got the Iron Curtain. But I think as Operator Starsky is saying, I think if you had pretty important people that are vital to the economy, they might ask questions as to why they're getting a visa to visit a country. I certainly would say. So anyway, we've got a couple more super chats if you wouldn't mind. With those, that'd be great. We got another one from Edward Bennett for $19.99. Starsky, the Ukrainian people have made me believe in humanity once more. I know the sacrifices hurt, but your people are heroes, every one of them. Thank you very much, Edward. Appreciate it. And we've got yet another one from Level 70 for $27.99 Canadian. Thank you very much. Very generous. And it says, do you find that the Western media, such as the Wall Street Journal, paint a more dire picture of the war for Ukraine? They had a story about injured soldiers around Kherson, which seemed to imply that the counterattack will fail. I'd never seen the Wall Street Journal myself. I don't know if anybody else has.
No.
Actually, I think it was in Washington Post. They had interview with the soldier. Again, it was like this interview was shared by all kinds of Russian media who said, you see, even finally, Western media says that this counteroffensive will not work, which was expected, of course. But first of all, this soldier is not a general, and on his level, he cannot judge about the whole picture. That's why, for example, I cannot analyze and talk much about such things because I'm not a general either. And of course, another thing is that again, that this is how media works. They should show you all kinds of information. And I think it's important because hiding this information or distorting it basically turns media into propaganda. So I think it's normal. Media should be and army should be transparent. For example, I think today or yesterday, our president said that he takes under his own control the investigation on authorities in Zaporizhia who were caught trading humanitarian aid. And when we talk about such things, it means that we take some steps to investigate and to make sure that it won't happen anymore. And this is, I think, it's correct thing to do. It's a proper thing to do. It's not like we have invincible soldiers who attack on all fronts and yada yada. No. So I don't think that you can judge about the whole front line from a position of a single soldier. For 8 years of my service in the army, I saw a lot of situations. So there were situations, for example, when I'm managing the Facebook page for my brigade, for example. And we would receive commentaries from soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine saying that I didn't see you on the front line. I didn't see National Guard fighting at all. The front line is 1,000 kilometers long, and you haven't been to every position on the front line. Basically, what soldier before the invasion, basic deployment like usual deployment, right, is when you just spend 99% of your time on a position, guarding a position and watching for like Russian sabotage and reconnaissance groups. That's all. And you spend like year on the same position. So like I didn't see our special forces fighting except one time. It doesn't mean they are not fighting. I think they're fighting more than any of us. So yeah, the story with the special forces was so we were on deployment. It was in winter 2019. I actually have a video of that. So we were on a position. I was like, running around, talking to soldiers, trying to receive some commentaries and interviews, because it's like when you arrive to a position, for example, with journalists, and you go like, buddy, can you say a couple of words about the situation or something? He's like, no, I don't want to say anything. Like, you're a pro, come on, it's your job. So I have to give commentaries to this journalist, this journalist, this journalist. After a while, our soldiers get angry because they say only, and like if you watch TV, it seems like only Andrew is fighting, nobody else. So I was running around asking soldiers and stuff, and at some point we noticed movement from Russian positions towards our positions, and there was like huge pile of RPGs hanging on a wall, and one of our guys was like, let me shoot one. So he took this RPG, aimed, started shooting. Something didn't work, and he was like, oh, it doesn't work. And we're like, just throw it away. So he threw this RPG in front of him. He dropped it behind the bags, okay, on that side. So I returned back to the kitchen. We had this field kitchen, and we decided to have some coffee. And our special forces arrived. Those like superhumans, like Iron Man, with all kinds of gadgets and stuff. I like, they had some kind of weapons that I couldn't even recognize. And we had some coffee, and as soon as I returned back to my headquarters, I received a message from the guys who said that the special forces guys arrived to the position. They killed some orcs, and after a while, one of them noticed that RPG in front of the bags. He moved out, picked up this RPG. He said, hey, it's still working. So he prepared it the proper way and shot it. And we were like, damn it. Yeah. So that's one of the stories.
Oh, that's funny. Let's see here. Matt just needed a second. So why don't we got a couple more shout outs to do, but we can turn to Dave for a couple of viewer questions and give Matt his minute.
Yes,
Absolutely, sure thing.
Oh, you want to go Dave first? Yeah, sorry, misunderstood you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. It's probably worth clarifying this question from Moskva the Sinkable. Why doesn't Zelensky buy nukes?
Money.
Because, well, first of all, it's kind of hard to buy nukes.
Yeah,
I think.
I've checked. I've looked on eBay.
Yeah, there is
try Alibaba.
The other day, I've been to 7-Eleven. There's none, unfortunately.
That's 2 for 1 in Tesco.
We don't have Tesco here, unfortunately. Probably that's the reason. But you cannot buy nukes. Reason number 1. And reason number 0 is that we are a nuclear-free country.
It's horrible. You wouldn't want them.
Yeah, probably.
My opinion, I mean, the fewer nukes, the better. To be perfectly honest with you, but that's another story.
Nukes are like a rather political weapon because we all know that as soon as you shoot one, you're done.
Yeah.
So, like, we don't like that stuff.
No.
We would prefer to have one, of course, but at some point in our history, we made a choice and we decided that it's better to have a bunch of countries who guarantee our security. That was in Budapest.
Yeah. All right. And then, let's see. Why did that turn off? My camera died? No, there it is. Okay. Let's see here. We'll get Matt and we'll get those super chats done here.
Sure, yeah, no problem. We've got yet another one from level 70 for $6.99 Canadian. He says, is Ukraine concerned about the US midterms? If more MAGA Republicans get elected, they will probably try and stop funding for Ukraine. And I'll tell you what, I'll read the second one as well, and if you can maybe answer the two, I don't know. Another one from Mackenzie Zobrist for $15 US. The Washington Post has a source bias. Because of the media blackout, they go to the hospital and interview wounded. When all your sources are wounded, you're only hearing about the casualties, not wins. So maybe that first question might be ideal too. So just to refresh you, is Ukraine concerned about the US midterms?
So as for the second question, I think it could be the case because there's not much information coming from the front lines officially, and we don't bring journalists at this point because it's dangerous. On the other hand, it's still important to interview soldiers as well as wounded soldiers because they can tell a lot of stories. And as for the MAGA, like generally Ukrainians don't think much about it. Like politics in other countries are out of our concern, mostly. We are not specialists in American politics, and actually, like
neither are the Americans.
and we have a bunch of our own problems. We gotta deal with our own problems first, I think. So, in case it's like your internal business, which involves, which is based on like human values like democracy and whatever, like anything you can solve without our help, please do it. We don't want to interfere in any ways, but of course Ukraine is always ready to help. For example, in 1993 when there was a war in, or was it in, it was in 93. There was war in Abkhazia. Russia fueled and backed those separatists in Abkhazia and brought their troops. And a lot of Georgians who lived in Abkhazia, they were trapped. And I think I told that story already. Ukrainian army brought their helicopters and evacuated those people, basically saving their lives. We can do that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we cannot bring you a big airplane full of humanitarian aid because Maria is undergoing maintenance. But if we're talking about politics, guys, every country has politics, and we can discuss it in case we have any knowledge about it, but Ukrainians don't really talk about it.
Having said that, are there like still politics going on within the country in Ukraine right now, or is all that just like put aside? We'll just wait till the war's over and then we can start arguing in Parliament or whatever.
Mostly our politicians try not to fight, at least now, which is great. I hope they will keep this beautiful tendency after war as well. But we know that politics is basically business in most cases. So that's the reason why I'm never gonna be part of this swamp.
Yeah, I mean, it struck me. I mean, I've seen, you know, various reports and YouTube videos of, you know, elected officials commanding units and all kinds of different things, and it really struck me that the kind of unity that Ukrainians have, because, and you know, that's not really surprising. I think that any country that was invaded by a foreign power, I think all politics are going to be put aside. You know, I think you could always be united if you're defending your own, you know, your very sovereignty. You know, and there's an expression of never underestimate a defending army. You know, because the population will unite behind it all, and you know they will fight for their very lives, and that's what Ukraine's actually doing. And you know, and it really does strike me that you know the unity that Ukrainians have. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, Ukrainians seem to be a very, very tough kind of bunch of people. You know, they really seem to sort of get through some very, very tough times and seem to be able to deal with, you know, friends and family dying pretty well compared to Westerners, to be honest, perfectly honest with you, or more Westerners, I should say.
For example, in Ukraine, we had two biggest political opponents, like two biggest political rivals. Okay, it's our current president Zelensky and ex-president Poroshenko.
Yeah.
So
right.
Ukraine is like, guys, followers of one and another president. They're like, they would fight in real life.
Yeah.
But even despite the fact that it's not even like difference between Democrats and Republicans, it's like Democrats versus Democrats. So like, you know, in this case, whoever like takes power, we don't care.
Well, when was Zelensky voted in? How many years ago was that? I mean, would you? Is your country sort of like onto the verge of what we would call a general election to vote in a new prime minister? Hang on, president. Let's get it right. So or is that just like been totally like forgotten for now? Let's just deal with the situation. Because that's what I mean about sort of the ongoing sort of like political struggles that go on. It's always going on, no matter what happens. Even in war, there's still political wranglings and people like vying for power or think they can do a better job. So,
yeah, but
office.
Sorry to interrupt you. The reason why I started this was because as soon as the invasion started, they shaked hands, and their followers would literally kill, not like literally kill each other, but they would fight. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They shaked hands and they said, no more war between us until Ukraine is liberated.
Yeah, let's get this shit sorted.
Yeah. For example, we have like people from the party of Zelensky working in government. We have people from party of Poroshenko working in government, and they cooperate. For example, Alexei Honcharenko is our representative in the United Nations. He is a vice president of European Parliament, of the Assembly of European Parliament, and he's from the party of Poroshenko. And we are cooperating. Like, we literally don't care like about our opponents' political views. It doesn't matter because we are all fighting for Ukraine.
No, yeah. this is the greater good moment. Never mind petty little squabbles, right?
Let me just let me just mention what Ugly German Truce, our lovely fact finder in the chat, has told us that Zelensky was voted in at 2019. He's at a 5-year term, so the next election is on 2024. So yeah, you got enough time to finish it off.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Especially with we brought it up earlier today, but what's his name there from the CIA? I mean, those reports were quite damning towards Russia. They look completely inept. They've exposed the ineptitude of the Russian military because, the look from the outside, like from us looking at Russia before all this, was if Russia did invade Ukraine, Ukraine had like 3 months and that's it, done. And that's not even close to the reality. But then the bigger part that was damaging in that report was the long-term effect this will have on Russia. And I mean, if looking forward to that as my future, if I was Russian right now, would be horrific. I can't see how the populace isn't turning on their leaders right now. Get us the fuck out of this before you ruin the country completely.
Yeah, but they don't know it's happening.
Dick, you see the problem, like the biggest problem of Russians is that in case something happens in their country, they can move out, they can search for a better place outside, but they don't want to change anything. So probably this visa ban for Russians is one of the attempts to finally make them do something, because nobody's gonna, they got used to having this strong ruler,
right?
Like whatever, Tsar or like chief of Communist Party or whatever. They got used to it. They have like Putin ruling them for 20 years or something. Does
this also go back, Starsky, to what we talked about before when you were explaining that whole thing where they just see themselves as higher up the food chain, and as such, there's never even going to be a conscious awareness to what I would be flabbergasted over?
Yeah. So the point is that nobody's gonna change their life for them. You gotta do something. Unfortunately, they've been taught that you better stay home and watch TV. Or, I don't know, you can just travel to another European country. I think it's wrong. When the Revolution of Dignity started in Ukraine, we didn't move to another countries. We changed our corrupted dictator, and we had democratic elections.
Mm-hmm.
We were literally fighting for this right to have democratic elections. So that's the thing that Russian elite is afraid. They see bad dreams about it. Like Russian people have ability to elect whoever they want. So that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Very much. Let's see. Dave, I'm sure we got a couple of questions we can get in, and then we'll probably be close to, thoughts and wrap-ups and stuff.
Yeah, we've got 3 really interesting brained questions as well from Christina, sweet and daughter of Texas. I'm going to combine them all. So, wasn't Northern Ireland on that Budapest Agreement too, or am I thinking of something else? The Budapest Agreement needs to be brought up front and centre. And what is the Minsk Agreement of 1991, and where does it stand right now?
I'm not sure about the Minsk Agreement in 1991. There was Minsk Agreement in 2014. It's when this annexation of Donbass started, basically, and we brought troops to kick out Russian invaders. And there was quite some operations were successful. One of them wasn't successful. Is when something like 300 of our men got trapped and captured, and that was the beginning of those Minsk negotiations. That basically we had this war frozen for 8 years due to those negotiations in Minsk. And actually, like, having Lukashenko as a host obviously is a bad idea. It was a bad idea.
Yeah. It's a good one. Where are we at here? What's up next then, Dave? What are we looking at?
I can throw something else out there as well. Rodent No Last Name, who sends up all of the questions into the Discord. Thank you for that, by the way. Recent reports say that Russia is buying artillery shells and rockets from North Korea. Is this a sign that Russia is running out of munitions?
One of the signs, of course, because a lot of their shells were destroyed during like 2 months since we started actively using our HIMARS systems. And we had information that probably around July or June, they were already bringing shells from Belarus. So they already had a deficit of those shells because Russian artillery, I mean, they had a lot of machines on the front. And Russian artillery sometimes used like 40,000 shells per day. And that's a lot. It's not only a lot in terms of like ammunition, it's also a lot in terms of logistics because they require constant supply. They require vehicles that would bring those shells to positions and stuff. They require fuel. So already in summer, they were bringing shells from Belarus. Currently, I think that it's one of the signs that they're running out of ammunition. And of course, I think that my Russian fans are happy to have North Korea among their allies and friends.
Wow, yeah. Groups of a feather, we got a couple of super shouts, so we'll go over to Matt here.
Yeah, would do indeed. Yeah, a couple of nice ones to finish off with some more light-hearted ones. So first of all, from Decula03, been a member for 2 months, and for $5 US. How many languages does Starsky speak?
Let me see. It's like Ukrainian, Russian, English, Polish. Rozmawiam po polsku troszkę. I learned Farsi when, like, I had a free time once in my life, and I decided to learn a foreign language. So I was learning Farsi. I also kind of knew Italian because I spent like 1 month in Italy when I was a kid, and I basically learned how to speak, but I completely forgot everything without practice.
Wow. So what is it Starsky Uhura? Is that your full name then?
Linguist.
That's great. I'm gonna do Sam Williams last because I think that deserves to be sort of like the last one. But we've got another one from level 70. So I didn't get the name before. 699 Canadian. Thank you very much, level 70. You've been very generous all evening. Thank you. And he says, any idea how much abandoned Russian equipment Ukraine gained during the Kharkiv offensive so far? Hard to say, wouldn't it? I guess there's a lot of abandoned equipment by the Russians for sure.
I cannot tell you precise numbers because we still keep gaining ammunition as well as vehicles. I received a bunch of videos from my friends from the front lines who were riding their freshly acquired BMPs that belonged to Russian paratroopers in Balaklia, for example. They were trying to escape the encirclement, and unfortunately, or fortunately, they didn't. And there was like a big unit of paratroopers guarding this town. They ceased to be, so to say, and we received a lot of vehicles and ammunition that will be used, not only in Kharkiv but in the area of Kherson as well. Those positions that we have captured.
And I
Cool.
think DKG
DK?
wants in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a much more important question. How many wash machines have you managed to liberate and return back to their rightful owners?
Or toilets. Or toilets.
Yeah.
I think 0, because they're full of feces. So I think it's better to buy new ones. And unlike Russians, we can actually buy new ones. I think it's beautiful.
We should, at this point out to everybody that, please, one thing we do need to make sure Ukraine gets donations of are the ingredients to make porcelain, because for the love of God, they've got a lot of toilets to replace right now.
Exactly. Yeah, we need a fundraiser for replacement toilets. Yeah, exactly.
I can confirm that.
I'm 3D printing toilets out of my own poo at this moment.
Orcs will love those ones.
Okay, so probably the last super chat of the evening, and I'd like to leave this one till last, from Sam Williams once again, an absolute hero. You really have, for $34.99 New Zealand. One of the biggest reasons Ukraine will win is because its people have made morals and strength that Russia can't even dream of. It was obvious from the beginning. This is why Ukraine continues to stand its ground for hundreds of years. Absolutely right. Thank you very much, Sam. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Very cool. What have we got for time here? Oh, we're quarter two. So go ahead, DK.
I do have a question, if you dare me ask it.
Oh, shit. Here we go. Go for it.
I dare you. Go on.
Okay, first of all, we got to check. Are there any Russians in the chat? More to the point, are there any Russian trolls in the chat?
No.
Thing is, Starsky, I don't know how many. I don't know how many of there are like you out there on the internet, discussing what's going on and being open, having YouTube channels and bringing it up. I mean, you could be as far as I know, you could be the Paul McCartney, or you could be the Ringo Starr, who's not even the best drummer in the band. I really don't know. But what would be interesting to know is, have you? Because you do get these Russian trolls following you, and like because you mentioned them before, and they comment to you. Have you actually considered using your channel? This is why I had to check to make sure there's no Russians here. Have you actually considered using your channel to give false information, like we did in World War II, to get the enemy to believe we were going to do something? And we pulled the rug underneath them, and we did something else. Have you ever thought about doing that? Well, we probably can't say. But I did check. There's no Russians. So no hands are up saying we're Russian, so we're okay. You can talk about it.
What I can say? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't know. What was my question now?
He's saying absolutely not, but his face is saying something else.
Okay.
That's funny.
Well, I can't put that question anymore, because I don't have a security clearance. So
yeah, you don't have OPSEC.
We'll talk quietly in the background.
We should. There was a thing on the news today. And it turns out that 94% of Russian citizens have never heard this sound.
Yeah.
I can totally confirm that. Speaking of the previous question, there are there's like so many possibilities. So, for example, when I see Russian trolls that start saying, and I realize that it's not like a bot who receives salary for that. Probably some kind of just ordinary Russian person saying some kind of crap. Sometimes I can say something like, "Did you know that Putin is actually an agent of Mr. Biden, and he wants to
What?
and he does everything to destroy your people, actually, because he's a spy." And because those people can believe anything, of course, they are trained to believe all kinds of bullshit. Flat Earth, for example. They will go like, you can literally hear, those circuits like getting melting down in their heads. So yeah, sometimes I entertain myself like that.
You like to play.
It's probably from the same people that believe that the Queen was murdered.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow,
It's apparently QAnon apparently have already dropped it. They've apparently come up with a theory as to why the Queen was murdered, even though she's been incredibly frail and close to death for quite a number of weeks and months now.
Didn't you know that all 96-year-olds are murdered? Didn't you know that?
Yes.
Holy. Now, the big question is,
wasn't even 24 hours. She's dead. They've already come up with a conspiracy.
Wow.
It's crazy.
But now the question is, who killed her?
Could it be
Come on,
we
Dick,
know
you should-
it was
come on,
Joe
Dick.
Biden.
Yeah, come on, Dick. You should know by now. It's them.
Boris.
Them. Boris
Got pissed off.
Him, it's Boris. Yeah.
I want to be Prime Minister
Again.
again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's wrong. It's wrong because I will tell you why. So, because Boris supports Ukraine, I mean, I'm literally like telling you what's gonna be in Russian news tomorrow. So, because Boris supports Ukraine, he went into fight with Queen, and because he is Ukrainian spy, he decided to poison her. And I'm sure they will add something like probably she was killed by an employee who has Ukrainian roots. 100%.
Yeah, that'll be it. Something like that. You can see it in the Russian media next tomorrow. Yeah. Or maybe it's already
No,
been.
it's in the chat, guys. It's in the chat. Jenny Mounts called it. It was that Canadian queen that fucking done her in. Yeah, she's going for the monarchs.
The Canadian Queen. Don't you mean Dick Dawson? Oh, sorry, no, the wrong person. Sorry, dude.
Was it Mallory or was it Queen Dildoa?
Yeah, what's I can't remember her name, but you know who I mean. We're coming on time here because we got to wrap up to make sure we can get over for pub chat and so on and so forth. So let's see here, Matt. You want to take us around and do a roundtable? Say goodbye to everybody type of thing.
Yeah, sure. Why don't we start with Fallacy Dave? How did you find this evening? And any final words, my friend?
I would be amiss if I didn't get called out by Rodent No Last Name and give a shout out to all the other people that are also gathering all the questions. Mipet, Claire, CF Beauty. Normally, at least two of them are in the meets here with us on stream, and not today. So thank you to all of the people in the background that are making this show run like clockwork.
Thank you very much, Dave. And
Show.
why don't we go to DKG for some funny, last funny fun. I can't even speak. What's wrong with me? Am I losing my brain cells or something? No. Have you got any funny final anecdotes? God, that's a mouthful. I can't talk. What's wrong?
Have we got any funny floppy tops?
Yeah, some of them too.
Yeah. No, I've got nothing. I'm saying it for pub chat, so you don't get that for nothing here. You have to pay. You have to pay for funny here. No, I mean, as usual. I mean, Starsky, it's just a great conversation having this with you, because it's just so unlike anything else that's out there. Just talk to you as a human being, as a real person, as we know you are, and just we talk serious, we have a laugh, and all the weird shit that goes along with it. Like I say, it's just nothing else like this. So thank you so much for turning up, and keep your head down. Love you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
DKG.
Thank you, bro.
And our very own resident penguin, Commander 401, late coming this evening. Any final thoughts or wrap-ups? Anything to say?
Yeah. Well, besides that Coca-Cola should be sponsoring you. I loved that short with you on the BMP. Maybe it's all the Russian commanders are actually working for the CIA, and that's why they're purposely sucking.
Obviously, I suspect that.
I'm going to give Starsky the final word, so why don't we go to Dick Dawson? Any final thoughts? So,
Yeah, you got to give consideration to the fact that right now, used steel, due to supply and demand and whatnot, burned out Russian tanks and stuff, is the one thing that Ukraine should be able to gather en masse, because I think it's going for about 17 cents per ton for Russian tanks right now over there. There's so damn many of them. But we should give, a quick, we haven't hit it in a little while, so I'm going to hit the old golden cock for Poutine Stain himself here. And I'll bid my adieus and pass it over to you to give Starsky the last word, buddy.
yeah, so Starsky, any final thoughts and anything like that at all? Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the questions. Again, unfortunately, we cannot talk much nowadays. I mean, like us militaries. But I hope that I was able to fulfill your interest, at least somehow. So thank you so much. I was really happy to see you tonight. And we'll see you in the next one.
Awesome.
Thanks, Starsky. And just from me, all I want to say really actually is just a big thank you to our audience, particularly those that sent the super chats in, and one in particular, I forgot my name. What was her name again? Sam Williams. That's it, Sam. Thank you very much for your postcard to Starsky and everybody else as well. And thank you to all the views. Fantastic views. We really appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Awesome. I think that's it. Let's say goodnight, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Slava Ukraine.
Good night, everybody.
Slava Ukraine.
There we go.
It's over. Go home.